Hey everyone, stick around because in this video, not only will I give you my opinion on this Walthers switch machine, but I'll show you how one push of a button can switch a crossover with new powered turnouts. Before I start, let me show you which items I'm using from Walthers Layout Control System. The distribution block, which can hold up to 8 switches. The DC power supply for the distribution block. Dual color LED fascia crossover controller. And of course, 2 vertical switch machines which come with detailed instructions, the machine itself, a yoke and mounting screws, and the mounting template. I recommend you get the turnout drill set unless you have lots of drill bits ranging in different sizes. The very first thing I did was tested both switch machines as if they were working a crossover. The power is connected to the distribution block, and that is connected to the switch machine. And the switch machine is connected to the other one, and that is connected to the flashing lights. Flashing lights? The switch machines come with their actuator wire placed in the middle so that they are easier to install. All you do is remove the tiny little center jumper and the lights will stop flashing. Put this jumper in a safe place for now. Once everything is connected and powered, all you have to do is push the little red button. You'll notice in the background that the track work in the yard is not complete. That's because this footage was taken 1 year ago. I had to put this project on hold until I figured out how to solve the following issue. Here's a cross section of my layout. You'll notice that the wire or rod is just long enough to go through the 1/2 inch wood, the 1 inch foam, and the track. I was very excited until I realized that I forgot the cork roadbed. Now what? One option was to replace the rod with piano wire and make a longer one. No thank you. So I decided to do the only thing I could think of. Make my bench work thinner. I purchased this multi-purpose cutting kit for my Dremel and used it as a router. I set it to cut away a 1/4 inch of wood, about the thickness of cork roadbed. It was a messy job and I recommend you wear goggles and a mask if you go this route. What's left is an inset for the switch machine. Now that the prep work is done, we can start installing the switch machines. I pinned down my turnouts so that they were secure in place. I then put in the yoke to center the throw bar. Because my turnouts are Pico, they come with springs. Taping down the yoke prevented it from popping out. Using my hand drill and a small bit that just fit inside the turnout's throw bar, I drilled a hole through the cork, foam, and newly thinned wood. I replaced the bit with one size down to drill holes on each side of the throw bar. These will help with alignment under the benchwork. Find all 3 holes and connect them, making a straight line. I am so happy that I did not glue down my turnouts because I had to remove them for this next step. You need a hole big enough for the actuator wire to move back and forth. I used a 3/8 inch bit and then went with a 1/2 inch just to be on the safe side. This next step I found rather difficult because I couldn't find a pin long enough to match the length of the switch machine's rod. What you're supposed to do is take a pin and poke a hole through the middle of the mounting template and then place the pin up through the hole from underneath, making sure the pin goes through the throw bar. Then align the template up with your alignment line and stick the template in place. Well, after many attempts to get the template in place, I finally succeeded, but it wouldn't stick because remember, I cut my wood so the surface wasn't even, nor was it a good material for applying stickers. Luckily for me, my turnouts are parallel to my walls, so I just eyeballed it. Just make sure your switch machine has a little center jumper in place. I didn't film this next part because I couldn't really find a good camera angle, but do you know how hard it was for me to get the switch machine rod up through the benchwork, through the foam, through the roadbed, and then try to get it through the throw bar hole? So hard. It's like playing darts and trying to hit a bullseye every time. Yes, it's possible, but it takes forever. It's almost a 2-person job because once you have the rod in the hole and you accidentally let go of the switch machine, the rod falls out and you're back to square one. At one point, my wife asked me, "What are you doing in there that's causing you to swear and sweat so much?" Yeah. I then screwed it in place temporarily. I used my own screw because the screws provided were not wood screws. You have to pre-drill and then use the provided screws. Before continuing on to the next one, I wanted to see if this one worked. I connected it to the distribution block and connected it to the push button. I removed the jumper and tested the switch. Perfect. I installed the other switch machine and connected it to the first one I installed. It wasn't that easy for me because all the wires already under my layout. I had to cross the streams of wires before connecting them.
There's something very important I forgot to tell you.
What's that?
Don't cross the streams.
Why not?
It would be bad.
How bad?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Meh. What's the worst that could happen? What is that?
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
The great thing is, there was no soldering, and it was very easy to know where to plug in the wires. The instructions are very clear. A quick test, and then on to the last part, installing the push buttons and LED lights. Walthers gives you a lot of options for your control panel. I'll be using the recommendation for a left-hand crossover. They also provide a template to drill holes for the buttons and lights. Even though both buttons do the same action, I'm installing both so that I'll have 3 indicator lights. I tape the template in place and use a 3/16 inch bit to drill all the holes. These are just pilot holes. I removed the template, back in the desk, and drew some track lines with a pencil. Walthers recommends to mark the holes for push buttons. I used a 1/4 inch bit for the lights, even though you're supposed to use a 5/16 inch bit. Then I used a 1/2 inch bit for the push buttons. And then I tried to fit the piece in, but failed. Turns out you have to use a 5/16 inch bit. Well, I don't have one. To the hardware store! This'll do. Ooh, so tempting. Using my brand new 5/16 inch bit, I drilled bigger holes for the lights. Time to run the wires in. Looks like I'll need another access hole to my control panel. There we go. This wire is connected to the first switch machine and connects to one of the push buttons. I then connected the 2 buttons together. Here you can see me test fitting one of the buttons without the spacer. I like the flush look, so I attached the spacer. It just snaps on. I'm using Gorilla Super Glue to attach the buttons. Walthers recommends using a strong adhesive. Once the glue dries and sets, I'll test them out. Okay, let's turn on the power and see what it looks like. This green light means the switches are switched so the train will cross over. I can push either button because they both switch both turnouts. Here you see 2 yellow lights indicating that the train can go straight through. Now that I've used these for a while, I can say with confidence that they work really well, and overall I'm pleased with the Walthers system. If you need more information on the installation of these switch machines, I put 2 links in the description down below for great how-to videos. One is from Walthers themselves, and the other is from Model Railroader magazine. Okay, here's a recap of a few things I wish I knew before installation. The few things I would have liked to have known before installation. Number 1. I wish I knew the length of the actuator wire on the switch machine. I looked everywhere throughout the literature but couldn't find a thing. I also couldn't find any information on how to change the wire to a longer one. By the way, the length is about 1 3/4 inches. Long enough to go through 1/2 inch of wood, 1 inch of foam, and the throw bar. Number 2. I was told I could install these switch machines with spring-loaded turnouts, but I had the opposite results. I had to remove the spring from both my switches. Number 3. I knew this already, but I should have bought 4 small wood screws so that I could just hold the machine in place and screw it in immediately. Number 4. I also should have bought or borrowed a long pin to make the mounting template step a little easier. Number 5. Again, I knew this already, but I wish I didn't have to glue the buttons in place. Glue always makes me think of permanency. I want the option to move the buttons if needed. And lastly, number 6. I really should have paid more attention to the LED lights during my test run. I wanted the green lights to indicate the straightaway and have yellow indicate the switch. I tried so many combinations with the wiring and just couldn't figure it out. I think I should have installed the switch machines the other way around to achieve this. In conclusion, none of these are deal breakers. And unfortunately, I can't compare these switch machines with other products. But if you have experience with other systems, please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Like I said, I really like how these operate. The wiring was almost too easy and the instructions were simple to follow. Walthers has all the directions on their website with videos as well. I hope that one day I can operate this crossover with my throttle and bypass the buttons altogether. But that's for another video. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Lounging with Gucci, scene 1, take 1, and action.